Today's call is going to be all about your questions, comments, suggestions. So start thinking about what you want to talk about, because I don't want to have any agenda today. I want to just be focused on you, your thoughts, your ideas, your concerns, your fears, hopes, aspirations, things you might want to ask me if we were in a coffee shop alone, that type of thing. Okay, great. So let's blast off and let us begin. I think we've begun the recording. So hello, everyone. Good morning. Here's what I'd like to do, if we would be kind enough, because I personally get a kick out of this, and if you would just humor me. Let's go around, say your name, and what city you're in right now, because I want to share with you, it just delights me, the nationalness of this. It's with technology, it's just all so fun. So, Ryan, you want to go first?
Sure.
Brother Ryan.
McCormick. Hey, how are you? Ryan McCormick, and I'm calling you from Cary, North Carolina.
Gary, North Carolina.
Cary.
So,
yep.
Spell it.
C-A-R-Y.
C-A-R-Y. Cary, North Carolina. Brother Ryan. Okay, who's next?
Saren from New York City.
Saren, okay. Sister Saren, where are you calling from, my darling Saren?
New York City.
New York City. So we got North Carolina, New York City. Who's next?
Shane Sutherland, Santa Monica, California.
Shane Sutherland. Where are you calling from, my dear? Shane.
Santa Monica, California.
Santa Monica, California. Yay. All right. Who else is on? John?
John Tisa.
You're in Glendale?
Yeah, Glendale, technically downtown Los Angeles.
All right, Glendale, California. Cool. Michael Levine is in Santa Monica, California. Okay. I think that is our group today. Anyone else on the phone call? Okay, great. All right, it's a smaller group. And by the way, John, I would like to talk to you. Maybe we need to think about making these calls quarterly so they're more special and all the rest. But this is your time. Free, no agenda, anything you want to talk about. Personal, professional, anything at all. So who would like to, hold on, we got hello? Who was that? No? John, was that an addition?
It sounded like it, yes.
It sounded like, okay, fair enough. All right, so who would like to go first today?
Michael, I have a question for you.
Brother Ryan.
It's Ryan. Yes. We watched the video that you'd done about broken windows, broken business, and I was wondering if you might be able to apply the principles of that book to these two particular areas. One, how would you define the principles of broken windows, broken business when you meet someone for the very first time? Are there any things that a person could be doing or has, by the way their appearance is, that would indicate that maybe they're not an unkempt person, maybe they're a disorganized person, or maybe they're a person that has more going on to them that's not exactly clean? And the second part of this question is, how does the principle of broken windows, broken business apply in the digital age when everyone is on electronic communications? If a person doesn't sign their email signature with their name, or if they're not responding quick enough, is that an indication that they might have a broken business?
Okay. So, first of all, Ryan, as usual, interesting, fascinating questions, at least from my perspective. The first is, when you meet somebody, right? Look, Ryan, from my perspective, God sees the inside. Humans see the outside. So, things matter. All things matter. Does appearance matter? Yes. Why does appearance matter? God sees the inside. Humans see the outside. Should appearance matter? I don't know. Don't sign up for that class. It does matter. It matters. And everything matters. Does the firmness of a handshake matter? Yes. Does the capacity for a person to look you in the eye matter? Yes. When you say thank you to somebody and they say no problem or uh-huh, does that matter? Yes. Their inability to understand the appropriateness of saying you're welcome tells us something. Now, it sends a psychic signal to your brain, consciously and subconsciously. When you say to a barista in Starbucks, thank you very much, and the barista looks at you and says, uh-huh, or no problem, in your mind, a psychic signal is received. And you may not even be conscious of it. And the psychic signal is, no wonder this kid's a barista, and it's probably going to remain a barista as long as he keeps saying, uh-huh. Now, if on the other hand, you say to a barista in Starbucks, on the very, 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 very rare occasion you say thank you to a barista at Starbucks, and they say you're welcome, you know subconsciously, this person likely is going places. There are millions and millions of signals we receive, things that we observe consciously and subconsciously. And so people display their broken windows, endlessly, repeatedly. So does that, Ryan, largely answer your question?
Yes, it does. But I just want to know if there's one more part of elaboration on it. As far as their physical appearance goes, I mean, if a person does not shine their shoes or does not keep their shirt, I mean, are there people who could theoretically speaking be very intelligent yet but not be the most kempt people?
Yeah. Well, I think you're asking me, and I could be wrong, about hygiene and shining shoes. Look, I believe that humans believe, subconsciously, not necessarily consciously, that the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And if somebody has a pair of unshined shoes, it may well send a signal. Now, it's not enough. No one thing is an indictment unto itself, but it's part of a pattern. If you see it as a part of a pattern, sure, yeah. I mean, if that's their best thinking. For example, if somebody comes to a job interview, this happens to me all the time. A person will walk into a job interview, right? They'll sit down, they'll be dressed properly. I'll shake their hand. How are you today? Fine. Good to meet you. Please sit down. Do you have a resume with you? And they'll say, I emailed it. I thought you had it. Well, I'll leave that to you to ask you, Ryan, if that were to happen to you, would that send a conscious or subconscious message to you about the applicant? Would to me.
Yep.
So there we are. But you're asking about hygiene and all these things. And look, we're living in a more informal world. For 30 years of my life, every single day of my life, I wore a suit and tie. I never wear a suit and tie today. I'm in a different place in my life, and the world is more casual. But I still think there's a sense of appropriate. There's a sense, and I do believe that you should try to dress for the job you have. Try to dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So, there you go.
Michael,
That's
you.
that. Anyone else on the phone call want to ask, comment? Anyone want to respond to Ryan differently? Anyone want to disagree with me, agree with me? If you do agree with me, I think you're brilliant. Go ahead.
It's Sharon.
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, so it's Sharon, and I wanted to follow up on the broken windows theme, and I want to apply that towards building a social media platform. So as we've discussed, my social media platform is broken. It was not developed.
Right.
And I want to talk a little bit about, and we can do it in a general sense so it applies to everybody.
Sure.
Basic steps for success to building a social media platform.
Sure.
In my case, I can leverage and lateral over all the people from what I have from the other part of my life. But I really need to understand how to build the social media platform so that it's very solid.
Well, the first thing I think you've used a good and interesting term, and that is build. Mm-hmm. So building, to me, brings forth an analogy of a house, mm-hmm. An office building. So who on the phone call would build something without an architect's drawing? Mm-hmm. The answer is no one. And the key, I believe, begins with a plan of an accurate assessment of where you are and where you want to be in the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. So the short term is today to 6 months. Mm-hmm. The mid-term is 6 months to 18 months. And the long term is 18 months to 36 months. Mm-hmm. So I say, okay, you want to build a social media platform. Where do you want to be in 6 months, 18 months, 36 months? How many followers do you want to have? What do you want the community that you're building to stand for? There's a brilliant book written that I commend to people called Start With Why. Brilliant book, which says that any project would be better served, well served, to begin with why. Why are you starting in the first place? What is it to stand for? What is its goals? So I think that if you're going to build a social media platform, you start with a architect's drawing of what you want to achieve. If you have 200 followers today, I say to you, in 6 months, how many do you want to have? And you say, oh, a lot. And I say, well, that's not a number. Give me a number. And you say 1,000. I say, okay, so when you have 200 today, you want to have 1,000 in 6 months. Is that true? Yes, it is. Okay, great. What type of people would you like to be in your church of 1,000? Would you like them to be largely, not entirely, largely gay or straight, black or white, young or old, fat or thin, rich or poor? Tell me more about the psychographics and the demographics of the community that you want. Do you want them to be living on the East Coast, the West Coast? Do you want them to be, and then just fill in the blank. Do you want them to be religious? Do you want them to be, charitable? And these things, these architect's drawings, set the frame, the guide, the map. Nobody on the phone would be stupid enough to go on a road trip without a map or a GPS. What kind of jackass would do that? But so anyway, that would be. I don't. Does that help you at all?
That's immensely helpful. Do you have a course in terms of which one you start with first, or do you do all at the same time? Is it Twitter?
No.
Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram?
No, there is no course. Mm-hmm. There are only choices made by people. And listen, you know the old story, kid. The old story. Life asks you one question with two parts. What do you most want, and what are you willing to give up to get it? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. If you say, I want A, B, and C, I say, cool. What are you willing to give up to get it? And usually the answer among most Americans is, I want A, B, and C, and I'm not willing to give up anything to get it. Mm-hmm. Which is why we don't see the level of success and achievement. It's all a trade-out. Mm-hmm. If you want 3 new things in your life, tell me which 3 you're willing to give up to get those 3.
So amazing because I have another question, but I'm going to step back and let someone ask, and then I'm going to come
and
back
anyone have a comment? Anyone else have a comment, a disagreement, a thought, a concept? build a social media network that they want to respond to? Okay, fair enough. Who has another question or comment? It doesn't have to necessarily be a question.
This is Shane. I'll go ahead and speak. So
try to speak up if you can, darling.
Sure. Can you hear me a little better now?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so the question, first off, I have to appreciate your ability to ask amazing questions, Michael.
Oh, you're kind.
And that is very tremendous. And
Thank you.
And what was very interesting about just right now was, of course, the very first question you ever asked me, the two-part question: what do you want, and what are you willing to give up to get it?
Right.
And today I heard you say something a little different.
Okay.
What are the things you want, or what are the three things you want, and what are you willing to give up to get it? So
Yeah.
I think that's a nice evolution, because we change what we want, right?
Oh,
At some point.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This year, I may want, to travel a great deal. Next year, not so much. Absolutely. Of course,
Right.
we change what we want.
Right.
Right. But we should have some basic core. You work with people's money, Shane, and you ask clients, hey, you're 55 years old. You have this much money. What do you want? What vision do you have for yourself financially 10 years from now? What would that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Do you intend to be working, not working? Tell me where you want to land, and I'll tell you how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So those are easy conversations for me to have with people.
Okay.
Very authentic conversations. But the question that came up yesterday is, what do I have to do to get you to move? And this is really a question
to get
to
a
myself.
person to move?
To get myself to move, to
okay.
do more of what I need to be doing. And
Okay,
so I started the question of, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And the one thing that did come back to me that I found very helpful is indeed community and support, and acknowledging that what I'm doing is not easy, and it's unique, and it's very male dominated. And
why don't you tell people what you're doing so they'll have a sense of?
Oh, okay. So I work with investors. I'm a money manager. I build investment portfolios, and I tell people how to invest so that they can achieve their goals of retirement or building a home or transitioning through some kind of a money event like losing a job or an inheritance. And so the topic right now, which is very pertinent to what I'm doing, is gender-based investing. Women leaders, women in organizations, board members at very high levels that are putting a feminine value within the organizations and helping guide those organizations in a more mindful, empathetic, inclusive way, but to balance out some of the other traits. Perfect example, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo was all about the profits, and they kind of missed the point, and now it's come back to bite them in the ass. So these are the things that we're looking at. And what I've noticed is that the women at the very high level, that the support is not there for each other. And the mentors and the sponsors at this level, Michael, are very much, they're usually men, and they're trying to raise these women to be men instead of being women and bringing what women bring. So this is where my head is. And this is, the community.
That's a very good point, by the way. Trying to it's a very good point. So look, all I can tell you is this. I can't tell you what it's going to take to get you to move, but I can tell you historically what motivates humans. Okay? First of all, unfortunately, the human condition has been has existed where, generally speaking, people respond to certain stimuli. Fear and pain are big ones. People generally respond to fear and pain, right? That's why good times cause bad policies. Getting by, right, can be a bad thing for change. So there becomes, necessity forces a fierce urgency to now, right? So that's one, fear and pain. Another, you're quite right. I think Weight Watchers has showed us that community, or AA, or church going, or synagogue going, community, fellowship. If you say to a group of women over coffee, ladies, I, Shane, want to do this in the next 12 months, you are much more likely to do it than if you say it alone. Community, fellowship, sharing goals with a mastermind alliance, community helps a lot. Fear and pain motivate. Reality motivates. And what I mean by reality is, and again, here we go to Weight Watchers. If you think you're a little heavy, nothing will motivate you to the degree of that getting on the scale will. Looking at if you're planning your financial life, or you're planning whatever your business goal life is, you ask yourself, how many do you need? How many do you have? And then you measure and monitor. So measuring and monitoring helps. Community helps. Fear and pain help. Reality helps. Most people who are stuck are delusional. They're isolated, delusional. They have a kind of belittle and blame mentality. They blame people. The reason their life isn't going better is because of Obama or Bush or Cheney or the government or their parents. Parents are big, by the way. That's a big blame point. So I don't know if any of that helps you, but
I think say it publicly. I think that makes me accountable.
Write it. Write it.
And that's
say it and write it.
Yeah. Right.
And then ask yourself, why haven't you taken action? And the answer may be nothing more complicated than because you didn't have to. You see, I don't know, I have seen kids come here. I live, as you know, in Los Angeles, and I've had thousands of young people claim to me over the last 10 years, 20 years, that they wanted to work in Hollywood. Some living in other parts of the country, some living in other parts of the world, some living right here in L.A., right? And most of them don't act, but some do. And they all have their own story, their own narrative. But I can tell you that if a 24-year-old says to me, there's a different look in the eye of a 24-year-old who is living at home in an upper middle class with their parents in an upper middle class environment, having their bills paid for by their parents, than a 22-year-old who is on their own. The 22-year-old who's on their own is hungrier. They have to be. I met a young lady this is an absolutely true story. I was in New York City about 2 weeks ago. I'm at a party of about 300 people at a very famous restaurant called Sardi's in New York City. And I met a very young, pretty girl, probably 26. Her name was Grace. Pretty girl. I don't know anything about her. It's about 10 o'clock at night in Sardi's, and I meet Grace. She's a very pretty girl. And I give Grace. Grace talks to me. She apparently knows who I am. She's trying to make her way. She's trying to become an actress in New York and in L.A. So I give Grace my card, and I say, Grace, you're lovely. You're a lovely young lady. If I can help you in any way. She does not have an agent. And I said, if I can help you anyway, because half the time all I want to do with people like this is just tell them how to avoid making some really dopey mistakes. Mm-hmm. I said, Grace, if I can help you, here's my card. Now, we asked some questions to the whole group right now. Not only Shane, but the whole group. All right, so Michael Levine gives and Grace knows who I am, and I give Grace my card about 2 weeks ago. Well, we start with the first question. Mr. Levine, did you hear from Grace? Who wants to bet? Go.
I'm going to say no.
No.
Correcto! Didn't hear from Sister Grace. Wow. Grace apparently was too busy to connect. Email, call. Okay, fine. All right, that's Grace's prerogative. She didn't call. Fine. Now, I find out from a friend who is an agent who apparently knows Grace. And this man I know, this agent who knows Grace, sends me an email about Grace. And here's what we find out about Grace. Grace is apparently going next month for 16 days to New Zealand for a wedding. Wow. 16 days for a wedding in New Zealand. And Grace is not really going to be available to talk to this agent for 16 days as she goes off to New Zealand. Now, as you're hearing this, nothing wrong. By the way, Grace is allowed to go to New Zealand, I guess. She wants. But we ask ourselves this question, Mr. Levine, does it sound to you like Grace is hungry, or is Grace living in a very privileged home in which Grace can do pretty much what she wants when she wants without any real consequence? All right, group, you vote. Is Grace hungry?
No.
I say no.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if Grace has got a rich boyfriend or a rich dad or who knows what, but I don't think most of you guys are taking 16 days off to go to a wedding in New Zealand in the next month or two. And I don't think most of you could if you wanted to. Because you'd say, well, Michael, I got shit to do. I could take 3 days off maybe, perhaps 5, but I can't take 16 days off. So there you go. Apparently Grace isn't in enough pain or fear to act urgently. Now maybe that's how people are at 26 today. I don't know. There you go. Anyway, we have to wrap this up pretty soon. Anyone else have a question or a comment?
I have a question.
Who is this?
Hi, it's Richard Weiner.
Richard, Brother Richard. Where are you calling from today, Brother Richard?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Hello.
Yeah. First off, I want to say Broken Windows, Broken Business. What a great title for a book.
Thanks, Richard.
I'm a publisher who published books, and I've titled a lot of books, named a lot of books. But my question to you would be, I'm looking for more authors that want to publish books.
Right.
And, we also have a PR company to back it up. But
right.
What would you think the best way? I'm also trying. It's a two-part question, so I'm trying to target people that would want to publish a book because, like
self-publish.
Yeah, no, not self-publish. We are an actual publisher, TV Guestpert Publishing. So we actually are a publisher. We get it everywhere. We have New York Times bestsellers, everything on Amazon, #1 always, because we have the PR to back it up. But my point is, since you have a PR company, and you know that when you write a book, you become the expert, where would I look for more people that would like to be authors? And part two, I'm trying to market HR people in large businesses, particularly food industry. And I'll leave that to you. Go ahead.
Well, I don't understand the second part of the question regarding
you can
HR.
leave that then.
What?
You can leave that. You can forget that then.
Okay, so the question becomes, how do we find more experts who want to write books?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, first of all, the answer is any way you can. I mean, I would read, I would probably pick some industries that you want to target. However, you can see experts on TV all the time, right? If you go on tonight, if you go on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or CNBC or anything else, you'll find a myriad of experts. If you listen to KNX Radio, you'll hear a myriad of experts. If you read the LA Business Journal or the LA Times, there's experts in there all the time. What I would do is keep a close track of some of these industries that you're interested in. There must be kind of fields that you most want. And then research, once you capture, say, 10 names of experts that somehow appeal to you one way or another, you do a little research on them, see if they have a book or not, and then create a letter and send a template note out, an introductory note saying that or if you're more inclined, pick up the phone and call them directly and say, look, I'm a book publisher, and I'd like to talk to you about whether or not you have an interest in writing a book on this topic. That's what I think major publishers do all the time. They're constantly looking for experts in one field or another to create a platform or a book. But today publishers really want not only experts, but they want experts with big social media platforms.
Michael, could I follow up with that and then ask a question before we go?
Yes.
Okay. So, Richard, we should talk because I have an entire book platform that we're going to go out to publishers with. So we should probably exchange information and connect off this call. It's
Great.
Can I leave my number now, Michael, or is that the
other? I mean, sure. I mean, whatever is comfortable for you, Richard.
Sure.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to leave my cell number, 310.
Gotcha.
980. 6022.
Okay, perfect. 310 980 6022.
You got it. And if you don't mind, Michael, I'm going to give you a call today.
Sure.
So that's one. Two is I happen to be very good friends with the chairman of a very fascinating food company who has been looking to write a book for a long time. So I just want to talk to you on his behalf, too. I'll give him a quick call before I call you, and I'll reach out to him about his book. And then the next thing is, and my follow-up question for you, Michael, and again, every time you open your mouth, whether it's in a conversation or through a sentence in a book or one of the videos that you and John do together or this call, I just take pages of notes, and I feel like I'm not the same person after we exchange. I can't believe that I've lasted this long and done so many business projects and not had this reservoir of information to be tapping from. I just feel like I'm new every time I...
Very kind. I do want to point out, thank you, that's very kind. I do want to point out to everyone on the call something, and that is that I think we all know that there's a listing businesses called the Fortune 500 companies, the 500 largest businesses in America. 500, Fortune 500. Now, what percentage of those Fortune 500 companies have a board of directors in their life? And the answer is all 500. 500 out of 500 of the largest companies in America have a board of directors. They're filled with very highly paid, very brilliant people who guide them. Now, each of you can't afford a board of directors in your life, and to the same extent that Exxon or Apple Computer can. But you need a board of directors. You need a couple of people in your life, paid or unpaid, and you can pay them in other ways. You can trade them, you can give them percentages, you can guide that, you can, whatever it is. But we all need board of director members, people who are willing to listen to our ideas and try to say, that's a good one and that's a dopey, and think about this. And I think that the Excel community attempts to be a modest board of directors for you through videos and these calls, but you need a board of directors. You need somebody, you know, we all do. I do. We all do. We all need coaches. I mean, Michael Jordan had a coach. So anyway, go ahead and let's finish up this call. Did you have a question?
Yes. Actually, one quick and one might be a little longer. I downloaded the information on Start With Why while we were on the phone, and there's 3 options, and I wanted to know if you have a preference on which one.
I don't.
Okay. So they're all by Simon Sinek. And there are 3 different versions. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one.
Find which one appeals to you.
Okay, and then the next question was in terms of prioritization, and you touched on it when you said, what do you want and what are you willing to give up to get it?
To get it, yeah.
Sure. So just to dig a little deeper in that area, do you have a 3-step, 2-step, 10-step strategy to burrow down after that on how you then organize or prioritize whatever the act is that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you do, logic would suggest that if you want to do something, you then get a list, a computer, a pad of paper, and you write down what are the steps that you need to take to achieve this goal. And some of the steps are vital and important, and some of the steps are less vital and important. Some of them need to be sequenced, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the project is nothing more complicated than putting on makeup, then you understand that the first sequence means wash your face, right? You don't put on makeup on top of a face that's not washed. So you just sequence things based on the order required to achieve them. If you're going to drive a car from Philadelphia to Baltimore, the first thing you got to do is get in the car. The second thing you got to do is make sure the car is gas. Then you have to get directions, and then you sequence it in a logical order. But this would almost always be best done in community with Mastermind Alliance, brainstorming with people who you like and respect. And there you go. All right, we have to end for today. I thank you very, very much. Let's do, if we may, a parting shot, and here's what I'd like you to pretend, if you would be kind enough. I want you to pretend that it's 1 hour from now. You are in a room alone with your best friend. I am not there. No one else is there. It's you and your best friend. And your best friend says, hey, how did that call go? What do you most remember? It can be no less than 1 word, no more than 1 sentence. So let's go around. Ryan, what would you say to your best friend? No less than 1 word, no more than 1 sentence. Go.
Say it was thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking, okay. Shane, you want to go next?
Building the bigger boat.
Building a bigger boat. All right. I think, is it Richard that's on?
Know your why.
Know your why. Good. Nice, Richard. Boy, that's cool. All right. Who else? I forget. Sharon, are you on still?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, great. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. What's your? What do you want to say to your best friend?
I say Michael did it again. He blew my mind.
Well, I don't. I want you to do it again. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Well,
I love it. No, I agree with you 100%. He does that.
You know, I want to tell you something. I can't tell you how touched I am by some of the kind things that you say about me. But I really believe, and I accept them and I appreciate them very, very much. But I know in my heart that you are saying them about in saying them about me, you're really saying about yourself to a degree. Doesn't mean I'm not helping, but I'm just helping you reveal how powerful and how smart you already are and already know. Now, why you're delaying in certain ways is that's an interesting topic, but good luck, and we will catch you we'll catch you before long. Thank you, John.
Can I say one more thing, Michael, before everyone goes?
You may.
All these conference calls, they're on our YouTube channel, or most of them are anyway. So this one I'll send a direct link to everybody, but if you want to check out any of the previous ones, they'll be on our YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube and type in the Excel community. And also, if you know anybody that's a non-member but still wants to look at the same content that you see, or just get a taste of the Excel community, recommend that to them. So we have
that's a really good point. All of you can be we do these videos every week, as you know. We charge $100 a year. It's basically about $1.80 a week to watch the videos. You like them very much, or most of you do. That's cool. But please tell others. Go on your social media. Tell other friends to join. We need to enlarge this community. And we would love your help. So make a video, take your phone out, shove it in your face, talk about why they're important or valuable to you, put it up on your social media, share it, discuss it, tell your friends, write them. It's excelcommunity.com. And also, I want to be open with you, very transparent. When I started this, I had a dream. I started with why. And my dream was that this community would largely be directed toward 20 to 40-year-olds who I felt really could use this information. Now, here's what's happened. The reality is that though they could use it, they're not joining. They believe in their own wonderful way that they already know everything. And so 20 to 40-year-olds who need it desperately are not availing themselves of it. Also, they're raised in a world in which they believe that anything on the Internet should be free. And frankly, they'd rather spend money on bottomless mimosas than this. I think it's tragic, but whatever. If you note, we've had members gift their kids and, nieces, nephews, and kids. Now, if you have 20 to 40-year-olds in your life who you think might be well served by this, you might want to get it for them. I don't know, maybe not. But anyway, just a thought. So thank you very much, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Michael.
Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you, Michael.